We are live. I'm Liz McDade, a huge Columbo fan and a small business owner living in Santa Cruz, California. And this is my brother.
I'm Paul McDade, an editor, assistant editor, and sometimes actor working in the TV and film industry in Los Angeles. And this is Trenchcoat, Cigar, Peugeot, Wandering with Columbo.
Woohoo.
In each episode, we'll bring you a little Hollywood history, glamour, and behind the scenes as we walk you through Columbo, one of America's greatest TV detective series.
Yes.
All right.
And today we're talking about The Most Crucial Game. This is from Season 2, Episode 3, and it aired November 5th in 1972. And we're having a drink. Every episode we have a drink and a snack that is inspired by the show. And so today's snack is popcorn, inspired by a scene at the stadium that we'll get to, and a Bloody Mary, also inspired by a scene at the Coliseum. And Paul, tell me about your Bloody Mary.
So this has Cutwater spicy Bloody Mary mix with Tito's vodka.
Hey, I'm having Tito's too.
It's gluten-free.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've always liked Tito's. I just thought it was really good.
Yeah, me too.
But I also added like a lime juice and a lime wedge, put it around the outside, and then a sprig of parsley
or celery.
Celery too. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What about you?
Yeah, similar to mine. Mine has the Tito's vodka, and then I have a little bit of a Bloody Mary mix that we had at the grocery store called Zing Zang. I've never had it before. It comes in a little can, but it's good. And then I added a little bit of sparkly water and some green olives, a sprig of celery, and then some lime, a little squeeze of lime.
I did add some Worcestershire.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
It's probably in your mix.
Yeah. It has a little spice to it, but it's pretty mild. It's not peppery or anything. It's good though. And what about your popcorn? What do you have? What kind of popcorn you got going there?
It's air pop with some butter and then some sea salt, like the pink sea salt stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Trader Joe's popcorn, I believe.
Nice. I made air popped popcorn. I got some melted vegan butter on top and nutritional yeast, which is my favorite popcorn topping, and salt. And it is delicious. Let me tell you, before we hit record, I was shoving like handfuls in my mouth because it's so good.
She was. Your kids love it too, right?
Oh, yeah. The kids love it. I'll try not to crunch too much while we're recording, but it is tasty.
Me too. My apologies.
All right, Paul. Well, we got our drink and snack, and let's move on to our newest segment, which is letters from listeners or listener contributions. We don't really have a formal name for it. We take letters and emails that we get from you, and we're sharing those here on the podcast. So in this episode, we have a lovely note that we got from Sam, where he's reflecting on the role of Columbo in his life. And his father, unfortunately, passed away in January. And so he says, quote, "In homage to him, we, my mom, sister, and I, have carried on the tradition of watching Columbo most Sunday nights. I go over to the house for dinner, and we watch the episode afterwards. It's been fun to do this, and I've gained a greater appreciation for the show and the awesomeness of Peter Falk." So thanks for sharing, Sam. That's really sweet. I think that for a lot of people, Columbo, for a lot of listeners, Columbo is a connection to memories and family time. So that's really sweet.
Yeah, definitely. I read it. One of the podcasters that follows us, and we follow them, the Glitter Boom Girls.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, one of them wrote a book. Well, they're both writers. But one wrote a book called Taking Liberty. And in there, the main character watches Columbo. She remembers watching Columbo with, I think, her grandmother. I think it's her grandmother. Could be wrong. But so I think a lot of people do have that connection, like Sam.
Absolutely. And then we also have a segment we've been doing sometimes where we do a little flashback or a little addendum to a previous episode. And I just wanted to do a quick flashback to our last episode, Etude in Black. So as you know, Paul, there are a few different places where us Columbo fans gather. And one of them is on Facebook. And another Columbo fan, shared on Facebook so this is a little note from Mason, and my apologies if I'm saying your name wrong, but Mason wrote that she loved this episode. She was lucky enough to run into Blythe Danner in Manhattan and talk to her about this episode, and shared with Blythe her favorite line from the episode, which is, "I could have stood for anything but murder." And Blythe responded and said that she loved working with everyone on this episode and remembered it well. So I just thought that was a sweet little memory to that really awesome episode that we covered in our last show.
Yeah. Which one was that? Which Columbo fan Facebook page?
Her name is Mason.
No, but what was the name of the fan?
Oh, the Facebook page?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a couple different ones. It might have been the Columbo Appreciation Society.
Well, we can put it on there.
Yes, Columbo Appreciation Society on Facebook. All right, well, should we talk about today's episode?
Yeah, the most crucial game.
The most crucial game. Oh, man, I forgot to write a summary. Well, I can do a summary on the fly here.
I could read the one from IMDb.
No, let's do our own. All right. So the manager of a sports franchise, his name is Paul Hanlon, played by Robert Culp, murders the owner of the sports franchise. His name is Eric Wagner, played by Dean Stockwell, in order to get more control over the franchise, over this fortune. And he tries to make it look like Eric Wagner hit his head while swimming at his pool and drowned accidentally. But when Columbo arrives on the scene and learns who the victim is, he immediately suspects foul play. And he starts to quickly zoom in on Hanlon because of Paul's little giveaway behaviors and clues that we'll get into. So that is my summary. And now we can dive into what's happening in this show.
Let's do it.
So it opens up with images of the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. And I have to say, I really love the music. And I was trying to think of what was making the music. It was like synthesizer sounds, Paul. Do you know the opening music? It's kind of like a little synthesizer or something going on and a little like shaky, rattly sound.
Yeah. It's kind of, it's already giving you the idea of something is lurking about, kind of something dangerous lurking about a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's already the game is afoot.
Mm-hmm.
You feel like when because you're following him.
Yeah.
You know, Paul Hanlon through the corridors in the beginning there. And it's really great opening, just like getting into this guy's mind because he's definitely onto something.
Mm-hmm. He's very focused
as he's passing people. Yeah, walking through the Coliseum, and the music really sets it up there.
I love it, but it's a cool sound. And I did just a tiny dive on the Coliseum. So the Los Angeles Coliseum is an exposition park right next to University of Southern California. It's operated and used today by the University of Southern California for the Trojans. And it's in what's essentially South Central Los Angeles. It's been in a ton of films and TV shows.
Yeah.
And things like The Mighty Ducks, Escape from L.A., starring Kurt Russell, Money Talks with Chris Tucker and Charlie Sheen. It's also been...
Didn't you see that? Escape from L.A.?
No. Well, I don't think so.
I thought you said you saw that.
Maybe I did. It sounds like something I would watch. It was also in season 17 of Bravo's Top Chef. They filmed an episode there, which I love that show, Top Chef. I don't know if you watched that, Paul, but it's fun. And it was in the Netflix series Lucifer, which is probably the most recent reference to the Coliseum.
Yeah, I know that show. I haven't seen it, but I know what it is. It's about our mom's favorite person.
All right, so we have... That's right. All right, so Hanlon is at the Coliseum. He's in the one of the box seats, the boxes at the top of the Coliseum. And he calls over to Eric Wagner. So he's played by Dean Stockwell, the owner of all these teams. We have a cool introduction to Eric Wagner's life. There's a very decked out bedroom with a golden Buddha statue, and he's got some black silk sheets on his bed. There's some signs of a female guest that's been in the room, but no woman in the room. And this is where Hanlon is starting to set up his upcoming crime, and he starts yelling at the kid and telling him he needs to get out into the swimming pool and get ready for a big trip that they have coming up. This is also an important scene. Hanlon calls down to the locker room at the Coliseum to talk to the coach, Coach Rizzo. He wants to give his 2 cents to the coach right before the game, which is definitely not appreciated. I don't know. Did you notice one of the assistant coaches is a familiar face?
Oh, no. Yeah, he kind of looked familiar. Who is he?
So he's Coach Rizzo's assistant, and he was in Death Lends a Hand, also with Robert Culp. And he played one of Culp's top security guys.
They have a scene of his wife and son. He's playing with his wife and son at home.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, the crew cut. Yeah, that guy's great.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh.
Yeah, so he's back in this one. I don't think he's actually in any scenes with Robert Culp. Not that he was in that one either. They just talked on the phone. But yeah. And then this is a little bit of trivia from IMDb about this opening scene where the game is starting and there's all these people in the stands and players on the field. So these are actual shots from the 1967 AFL-NFL World Championship game, which was later renamed the Super Bowl. So this was a game between the Kansas City Chiefs and another team, which I didn't get.
All the footage they use? All that footage of the football teams playing each other?
I think so.
Because some of it definitely looks, more 16 millimeter. Like some of the B-roll shots of the crowd and the exterior of the stadium and above the stadium, that looks like more, the footage looks different. But when it shows the players playing up close, and there's a performance, it looks a little cleaner. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like the people in the stadium, maybe they've kind of cheated some of the stadium shots and used from another game or other B-roll or something.
Yeah. It could be a mishmash.
If that makes sense.
But at least some of it is from that World Championship game, a.k.a. Super Bowl game.
Yeah.
Well, in this moment, Hanlon puts on a Ding-a-ling ice cream truck uniform. He grabs a tray out of the closet in the box seats. And this is where we see our popcorn and peanuts. And he takes this tray and he slips out of the Coliseum and heads out towards the Wagner residence, to the scene of the crime. And he drives up a road in Bel Air to a phone booth. Now, this phone booth has an address, which is 1037 Stradella Road in Bel Air. At the time, it was just an empty lot, but now it's a $14 million home with 6 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms. It looks like a hotel. And the monthly mortgage payments are about $63,000. But you could see, if anyone's really curious to see, if you Google map this address, you can see where the road looks the same as the road in this episode. It's just now that road is really developed with homes. So.
Wow. Did you notice the rainbow?
No.
Yeah, so there's this wide shot when he first pulls up to the telephone booth. You could see this beautiful rainbow in the very back.
Oh, cool.
It's a really great shot. Yeah, I thought that Perry Wolf did a really good job with a lot of the footage. Very crisp.
Yeah.
But that was a great shot.
Well, now I'm going to have to watch it again just for that.
Yeah. If you don't see the whole screen, it'll be cut off. But just on the top left and the top right, you'll see it. It's really cool.
Very cool. All right. Well, Hanlon stops at this phone booth. He calls Wagner. Wagner is sitting in his hot tub with a cigarette in his mouth and a leather pouch necklace around his neck. And then, a few moments later, he's sitting on the pool slide with the phone right next to him. And this is where Hanlon is like, get in that pool, swim those laps. and and Eric agrees. He's like, I'm doing it. So, Paul, did you recognize Eric's house?
I did. That's the one from Murder by the Book, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's 944 Airole Way in Bel Air. So the scene of the phone booth is actually pretty close to this address. So it is on the way.
Oh.
And yep, it's in Murder by the Book. It's also used in A Stitch in Crime, which we haven't covered yet. That's going to be a fun one. It also shows up in Rockford Files and a few other shows. I went into a really big deep dive on this house when we talked about Murder by the Book. It's now called The One. It is a huge home. It's been on the market forever, supposedly for $500 million. But it's actually been in the news recently because it was supposed to go up for auction today. Because the developer ran out of money. Yeah, today's date. But a judge postponed the auction while two of the lenders figure out who's going to get paid back first when they finally sell this house. And the developer might still make a profit on the house depending on how much it sells for. But there's two people who loan this guy. His name is Niall Niami, and he's a real estate dude in LA. So two people loaned Niall Niami a bunch of money to develop this house, and you can't quite finish it. It's not, the tens of millions of dollars are not enough to finish the house.
October 20th is today's date.
Oh, yeah. So the date of that we're recording this is October 20th. It's supposed to go up for auction.
Yeah, just in reference to when Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that house. You could see some drone footage of what it looks like now online if you just Google it. But you can't yet really see the inside. So it's still a work in progress. But as a refresher, it's got 17 bedrooms, 25 bathrooms, 4 stories, 5 swimming pools, home theater, beauty salon, bowling alley, just the essentials. All right. So Culp does the deed here. He hits a poor, unsuspecting Wagner in the head with a block of ice. You don't actually see the impact, which is pretty typical, which I definitely appreciate. But you see Wagner fall back into the pool and kind of, drowning just sort of floating in the pool there.
Yeah, I thought this scene was really well put together. The way he falls back in slow motion, and he's walking around with those white tennis shoes and that bow tie. It's very surreal and sinister, but I thought it was really, really well done.
Yeah, I agree. This is a really well done moment. I think Dean Stockwell is so good in this. He doesn't have a ton of moments, but he's just, he's very convincing.
Yeah, he's a great actor. He was a child actor with Roddy McDowall and Elizabeth Taylor.
Oh, wow.
At MGM. Yeah, he hated it. He hated being there. And he said that he went to college. He stopped acting after he was able to get out of the child contract, and he couldn't find anything to do. Like, he didn't have the skill set to get a job other places. He tried. And so he's like, well, I know acting. So he went back to acting, and not because he wanted to, but because he needed money. And so he started again. And that was like, I guess he was in his 20s, but he's had these different sort of passages in his career when he was a child. And then he did a movie with Bradford Dillman. It was called Compulsion. And I may have mentioned it, but it's really a really good film. It's very dark. It's about it's a true story of the Leopold, and I think Hitchcock did it in a movie called Rope. I think it's the same characters, and Tom Kalin did it as well in a movie called Swoon. But Bradford Dillman and Dean Stockwell are these guys who decide to kill a boy, and it's a big court trial. I could be mixing up this story a little bit, I think. But anyway, he won Best Actor at Cannes Film Festival when he did that film. And this was like after he took the job because he couldn't find work doing other stuff, so he decided to go back to acting, and this is one of the first things he did.
Wow.
So it's kind of interesting because and Dillman won too. I think they both won.
Oh, cool.
I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong on Dillman, but I think they both won, and they're both really good. Dillman plays the more evil one.
Mm-hmm.
He sort of convinces Dean Stockwell to kill this guy, and I believe that they liked each other as maybe not in the movie Compulsion, but I think in Kalen Swoon, almost positive in that one. But Orson Welles plays the lawyer who defends them, and Dillman ended up working with him a couple times. And Dean Stockwell, I mean, he was good in Married to the Mob, and in the David Lynch's version of Dune, I thought he was really good. Yeah, and he's in this. He's funny.
Yeah,
and it's like you're watching. He just brings it to life. He brings what you're watching to life. So believable.
I remember him from Dune, and then I also remember him. He's going to be in a future Columbo episode called Troubled Waters, which is a fun one, filmed on a cruise. Columbo goes on a cruise with his wife, and he's in that episode too. Yeah, so you get to see him again.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I don't remember him in that one, but I have seen that one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, he's great. He was in the doing the Roy Orbison song in Blue Velvet. I think he did that live for some people before, in a stage and stuff. Did you ever see Blue Velvet?
Yeah, that's David Lynch.
The David Lynch?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't remember it.
He's with Dennis Hopper, and they're these horrifying group of outlaws.
All right. Well, that's the end of Dean Stockwell for this episode. And Culp makes it back to the Coliseum just in time for halftime. And he's this is part of his planned alibi. So he has made a plan in advance to meet with Coach Rizzo right at halftime. So Rizzo walks in and they chat, and Hanlon's not upset at the coach anymore. He's like, I'm sorry, never mind, which is weird because I guess the team wasn't actually doing that well. But then as soon as Rizzo leaves, you can see the relief in Hanlon's face. He gets actually kind of a crazed look in his eyes that like the deed is done. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Well, he's glad that he said something like, I have bigger fish to fry or something. And the way that they cut it, you almost think he's going to get caught because you don't see him.
Yes.
But then he comes out of the closet, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, don't worry about that." I was like, "I'm done with the hard part of hiding myself and killing somebody."
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah, it's cool the way they do that. Like, give you a little suspense. Like, did he make it back or not?
Yeah.
It's the same moment. It's the same type of moment that we saw in Etude in Black, where right after Cassavetes murders his mistress, you don't actually see him get back, but you see his wife and mother-in-law show up, and then you discover, oh, he did make it back. It's a similar kind of moment.
It's a good thing to think about for editors or people who are cutting films, whether they're their own film or they're the director or what. It's like a good tip. If you have a scene of them, like Robert Culp, coming into the room to change, like they did, maybe don't show it, especially if he's not hurrying, or we can play around with time.
Yeah, it gives the listener more intrigue. Well, let's go back to the mansion because Columbo's shown up now. The body of Eric Wagner's been discovered. Cops have been called. Columbo shows up, but he's distracted by the game, so he's listening to the game in his car instead of examining the crime scene. And there's a little comic moment here where Columbo accidentally walks into the pool with his shoes. And that is a recurring joke through the episode, which is pretty funny. And it looks like an accident to everyone, but when Columbo learns that the victim was Eric Wagner and that there were no staff in the house, he is immediately concerned that this was foul play, and he tells everyone that we need to, do a full investigation of this scene. And then he heads back to the stadium where you have Paul Hanlon again. back at the stadium, there's one of my favorite moments. There's a shot of Columbo coming off the elevator, and he has one pant leg rolled up because it's the one that got wet, and he's trying to dry off his shoe. So I love that. I love that little moment. We might have to get grab a screenshot of that, Paul, for the Instagram. It's such a classic Columbo moment.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, he doesn't care how he looks.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously, I love that. Or what someone might think of how he looks. Did you see the night of? It was like a series on HBO. Yeah, it was John Turturro plays this lawyer. Yeah, it was that the role was going to go to James Gandolfini. Is that how you pronounce his name, from Sopranos? But he passed away. But Turturro is so good. Like the story is super dark, and there's an element to that sort of storytelling that part of me doesn't like. But it's all like stellar writing. I think it's Richard Price and another really good writer, and the acting. Like everybody is just on point. And Turturro has this skin disease of some sort, or like allergy, and so he wraps his feet in plastic bags, and then I think he walks around that way, but he needs to scratch it. But he's like in New York City subway with his feet wrapped in these plastic, scratching his feet, and people are just like staring at him like, this man's insane, or like, stay away from me, you know. But it just reminds me of sort of nice little touches to your characters. You know, both of those. I should revisit the night of. I didn't actually finish the whole thing, but yeah, it's very revealing of Columbo.
Definitely, yeah. I love those little details, those little wardrobe details. Well, all right. So Columbo breaks the news to Hanlon, who's wearing a really cool, either wool or polyester, it's probably polyester, suit that's like this maroonish brown. It's very 70s, but I think if somebody wore it today, they'd be pretty cool.
If he could wear that at a University of Alabama game.
Definitely. No, but I think downtown LA, if you see a guy wearing that suit in downtown LA, you'd be like, who's that in that polyester maroon suit? Who's that guy?
There is a lot of red in this. St. John, my wife, you know, she watched this with me the second time I watched it, and if you notice, like, there's the red phones. It's his red sort of crimson, you know, suit he has. The team is red, so the Paul Gregory wears a red tie. You know, there's red roses, a bunch of red flowers that come up later on. I don't know how conscious Grady Hunt is of that, you know, but or the production people, but even the lawyer Dean Jagger plays has a red bow tie. Anyway, could be nothing.
Yeah, but it could be deliberate. Who knows? Well, Columbo plants a seed with Hanlon and then goes down to chat with Coach Rizzo and break the news to Coach Rizzo. And Rizzo shows genuine emotion about Wagner's death. Did you recognize Coach Rizzo, Paul? Because we've seen him in another Columbo.
Yeah, short fused. James Gregory, right? Is it James Gregory?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great in this scene.
I didn't actually write down. Yeah. I thought he did a good job of being genuine and not like two-dimensional. He's like, oh, what a bummer, but he also sees, you know, that Eric Wagner wasn't a perfect person. So it felt like a good performance, of a very realistic performance of what somebody like that might say.
Yeah, and he kind of suggests, you know, he does suggest to Columbo that you're on the wrong track. You know, this is a bad thing. You know, everybody liked this guy. I just noticed this, but when he's talking to James, and he's like, I don't know what the dialogue is, but they're right by the lockers. They're both still standing, and Columbo's jacket is open. You can see the tape that they would put the microphone. They would slip the microphone in there. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. It's like a Band-Aid color.
Oh.
And I believe it, but I could be wrong. It could be just some random sort of tape-looking thing.
It's so funny that you point that out, Paul, because I had a note about how if you look at Coach Rizzo, you can completely see his mic pack and the microphone wire.
Really?
Yeah, you can totally.
At the same time?
I don't remember if Columbo's in the frame, but you could, when Coach Rizzo turns around for some reason, and you can fully see it. I wonder if they were having some.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, I just saw it. Yep.
They're having some costume issues on that.
He just
day.
turned around. Yeah, he has a white. Yeah, it's funny because I didn't catch either of these both times, which is good because it's under his shirt. But yeah, you could see through the white. You could see the black line going through there. You caught that pretty well.
You can see the mic pack too.
Oh, like in his pants, you mean?
Yeah.
Sticking out.
Yeah.
Kind of the shape of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. The guys walking back and forth, and the guy, the football player coming back to get his cleats. Really good direction by Jeremy Kagan. I have to say, I wanted to see some of Jeremy Kagan's stuff, and he had a wonderfully prolific career teaching and writing and directing. Because this episode is so vibrant and so well put together, it moves really quickly to me. Mm-hmm. It's too bad they didn't use him again or hire him again.
Maybe he got other jobs or something.
Probably, yeah. He did The Journey of Natty Gann. I've never seen that, but I always knew about it. Did you ever see that?
No, I haven't heard of that. It's funny that you point out that moment, too, with all of the athletes in the locker room. I also was like, this is really good. Like, it felt like, it didn't feel like we were like in some studio. It felt like we're really peeking in on the locker room and what's happening. And there was a lot of, action, a lot of activity. So it's funny. It's cool that you noticed that too. Because I also was like, this is done really well. Like, it's really believable.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I watched Ted Lasso. I watched a few episodes of that, and I like that. One of the things is you have on bigger budgeted, or nowadays, you have a lot of coverage for filming. And so everybody has to keep the same location. With something like this, you're not seeing a bunch of guys that are main characters. They're just people walking back and forth, or some guy reaching in to get cleats. With Ted Lasso, they're all main characters, those soccer players, almost all of them, the football players. And it'd be much harder for them to just kind of wander because you have so many different angles that have to match. So the editors and the assistant editors would go crazy if the people weren't in the same position,
right,
doing the same hand movements. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's some constriction to what we have now, because they're not shooting in film, they're shooting in video, most everything. And so they can shoot a lot more. And so they'll usually have more than two cameras, or they'll have two cameras. And but it limits the actor, in some ways, to any kind of spontaneity. I mean, they don't want too much spontaneity, but it just made me think of that. I can see that in movies where there's this controlledness, where they have to stay within this small little boundary, and it doesn't feel real to me, and this, the guys walking behind them, I'm sure they had an assistant director or somebody saying, okay, now you go, wait, okay, now you go.
Yeah.
But here it definitely, you're listening to them talk, so you're not thinking too much about it. But getting the cleats was the guy reaching in there, that was a great little thing to think about, like you were saying, to make it's like this is what would happen,
Mm-hmm. And then Rizzo has like a little reaction too. He's like a little bit annoyed, he's like, oh, come on, dude. It's just really, it's a good little moment.
Yeah.
Really well done.
Yeah, because he's sort of countering him. He's like, "Come on, dude." Mm-hmm. And I was hoping that it might set Columbo off a little bit, but he's, Columbo's. You really have to like give him a ton of information to sway him from his gut instinct. Mm-hmm. But I felt like I loved that this guy's like, "Oh, come on, you're on the wrong track."
Right.
Everybody loved this kid.
Yeah, nobody's
even though he's a screw up,
Well, I think part of it is that nobody suspected how devious Hanlon was, except the lawyer. But even he didn't think he was that devious. But
yeah, that's one thing about the Culp's character. That is so interesting, because I think that kind of reptilian, premeditative individual would behave like that. Like no one would know. They would keep that way under wraps unless they saw a way inside of you. Like that you were similar to them. I watched this. It was like a news story about this woman who hired a killer to kill her husband, and they had filmed her, setting up the job. I've seen a couple different ones of these, because I worked on a show where we dealt with some of that footage, but it's very chameleon-ish, like the people who do that kind of stuff, like you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But nobody has a clue, right? Except
Yep.
for Columbo.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Paul, well, let's go back to the fancy Wagner house for just a moment. There's nothing in this scene that I particularly wanted to talk about, except that there's at least one of the same paintings on the wall that are
there are. I wondered about that.
Yeah. I did a quick, side by side. I didn't have a ton of time to look, but at least one of the paintings on the wall at the Wagner residence is the same painting on the wall at Franklin's house from Death Lends a Hand. And it's a portrait. It's an abstract portrait of, I think it's of a woman, and it's in pastel colors. And it's right on the edge of the wall as you walk towards the front doors.
Is that a Picasso or something? Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I just got a kick out of that. It's like, hey.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that same image. Was this house, did it have an owner when they filmed these? Do you know?
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know.
Who and is the lady answering the phone? Is that Miss Johnson?
I don't remember her name, but she's the secretary who replaced Miss Babcock. Oh, do you mean Miss Johnson, from a different episode?
No. I'm looking at the credits. Well, it just says Miss Johnson, and in credits, played by Catherine Kelly. Yeah, that's her. So Catherine Kelly Wygant is Miss Johnson. Wait, is that right? Oh, who's the lady that comes back from the trip?
So that secretary just has that one scene there.
It might be confusing.
And then we're going to meet. Yeah, so there's the secretary who sits at the desk in the house, which is kind of awkward, I would think. Do you really want a secretary in your living room? But I guess the Wagners do.
Maybe.
And then there's Mrs. Wagner, Shirley, who is coming home from Acapulco. And it's a different person. That's Shirley. So let's go to the airport, where Columbo has followed Hanlon to the airport. And he finds him in a phone booth.
It's just vodka, Liz. It's vodka.
Oh, I know. Got to watch out for that vodka. Especially on a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Well, I had to do a quick look about phone booths, because they are a dying breed, as you know. So they have been vanishing. In 1999, I got this from Wikipedia. In 1999, there were about 2 million phone booths in the U.S., and only 5% of those were still around in 2018. So not even 20 years. Got rid of 95% of our phone booths. About a fifth of our phone booths, or payphones rather, are in New York City or in New York.
Yes. Our brother, Joe, he used to use one of those phone booths a lot there in Manhattan.
Yeah.
A couple of those he told me about. He got picked up by the police. Did he ever tell you about that?
No.
Yeah, because he was at a phone booth. He was calling, some of his friends, and waiting for a call from one of them. And because he had a really long beard, they assumed, this guy's suspicious, and so they took him down and, questioned him, and
Wow.
found out that, he's a sweet, innocent guy who was not planning anything bad. Yeah. So, but he was telling me about those phone booths, how there was very few. and he didn't have a cell phone at the time. So,
Okay, we'll have to ask him if we can leave that in or not.
yeah.
I had no idea. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, so we see the phone booths, and then Columbo chats with Hanlon, and we meet Mrs. Shirley Wagner, who's coming off a plane, and she looks pretty spectacular. She's wearing a thick gold chain around a light brown turtleneck sweater, big gold hoop earrings, large sapphire ring, a really wide glittery gold bracelet, and a large camel hair coat and black leather gloves. And then her luggage is really cool. It's like white luggage with these like black spots in the pattern of like a cow all over it. And she lands and she really leans into Hanlon, and you just see in that moment like how much she trusts him and feels close to him, not necessarily in a romantic way, but you see that they have a strong connection, the two of them. So we talked last week a little bit about this new book, Shooting Columbo, and I just wanted to. There are so many good little tidbits in there, but one of them I wanted to mention was these shades of brown. So Columbo wears all brown, and then in this moment she's wearing all brown, but she looks really awesome. And I got this new appreciation for brown, the color brown, reading this book, and Peter Falk has a quote in the book where he's talking about brown. He demanded that his costume be brown and they dye his suit brown. And this is his quote: "I became crazy about the color in 1965 when I visited Italy. Everything is brown there, including the buildings. The Italians really understand that color best." And so I just thought I guess I could imagine that it can be like a really beautiful color if you see it in the right way and you appreciate it in the right way. And so I think her outfit is a good example of how beautiful and sophisticated these different shades of brown can be.
Yeah, I would agree. I think you could find that with all kinds of colors. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I like the buttons. Her buttons are sort of brown as well, with some sort of cream.
Because when I first, have always thought of Columbo's suit, it's like, well, he's trying to come across as kind of worn out, unkempt and a little bit dingy. But actually there is, I think in his mind there was some beauty to those shades that he picked.
No, I would agree, because it's classic. It's sort of it's quiet, and kind of muted. But it has sort of a longevity to it. And especially in contrast to everybody else. So I totally get that. I mean, there's something in general, I think, about the way that a lot of the Columbos are made, and I mean, I'm sure it'll change as we watch more. But I watched Mary Tyler Moore, one of the characters at the end of this episode, Ave Babcock. She's we'll get to it. She was in Mary Tyler Moore, and I watched the pilot of that and a couple other episodes, and it's earlier than Columbo, I believe, when it started. Let me see. Yeah, well, they started around the same time, a couple years before Columbo, or a year before Columbo. But Columbo has sort of like the construction of it and stuff is much more care taken into it in some ways. I mean, that was a sitcom, so that's different. But there's a lot of things I think that go along with him wearing that kind of outfit. It's sort of a classic look to it and an understanding of that. Like, you're not into fads, you're into this very sort of kind of sophisticated, simple jacket. It's not too stylish, but it has a lot of style. I think Peter Falk understood that. He talked. He talked about that with one of the first movies he did was called. It might have been the first movie, called Murder Inc. And that was I believe that was the first movie he did. And he used to see these wise guys, or guys who thought they were wise guys, in the pool halls. And when he did this film, he was trying out for a real person who was like a hitman, and he understood that behavior and that dialogue, and also the look of it. And if you look at pictures of Murder Inc., he's wearing a jacket, and it's like a heavy winter coat kind of thing. if you look up images online, you'll see he's got this really heavy wool kind of jacket. It's something you'd see James Dean maybe wearing, on a rainy day in New York or something. And Peter Falk wanted to wear that in the film. He's like, I've got to wear this jacket, or it was in his book. Just one more thing, Peter Falk's book, and he talks about wearing that jacket, and so he carries that, what you're talking about, as he wants it real. He wants it something that tangible, and but there's a certain style too. He understands a certain style. It's keeping him somewhat hidden, but it's also keeping him. He knows he has a style. It's a really cool style, to me anyway. It's dirty, but it's still got some sort of style to it.
It's him, and it's part of his identity. I mean, people, when he changes, like in a future or previous episode, he changes his outfit. I can't remember if it's future. No, it's an upcoming episode. He changes his jacket, and people don't recognize him because the clothes are so much a part of his identity. One person at least doesn't recognize him.
Did I say he got nominated for Oscar for that?
No. Wow.
Yeah. So for Murder Inc. Yeah.
Okay. I better watch that.
I know. I haven't seen that either. I think that's what a lot of people like. I think Cassavetes probably saw that. Cassavetes wanted Cassavetes wanted him to be in Husbands. Him and Ben Gazzara, like he wanted to work with him. I don't know if they'd really done anything before. They might have done something small, but he really wanted to work with Peter Falk.
Okay, well, let's move along here, Paul. All right, so we're at LAX, but let's go back to the Wagner house again, and it's nighttime now. And I just want to point out the burglar here in this scene. Someone's breaking into the Wagner house at night. It's played by our buddy Val Avery.
Yeah.
Who you remember from, he plays Harry Barnes in Dead Weight.
Mm-hmm.
So he's Ralph Dobbs in this one. He's coming up in one of my all-time favorites as Artie Jessup in A Friend Indeed. And then he plays Louis the bartender in Identity Crisis.
Wow. Yeah, he was in a Johnny Staccato too, the Cassavetes series I mentioned.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he played like a really kind of mean, kind of a gangster. I think he had a girl. It might have been Jenna Rollins. Jenna Rollins might have been in that one. Was she in that one? Maybe she wasn't in that one. I can't remember. But yeah, he was in it. And Cassavetes Staccato hated him, like knew he was a bad guy. But anyway, yeah, he's great in this one as
Very
the burglar.
Cool. Yeah, he does a good job. I like him.
What would you call him in this?
Private detective. Private eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not actually a burglar. He's just breaking in at night like a burglar. All right. Well, Paul, are you ready to play a little basketball? Just for a minute?
Sure. Let's do it.
Little basketball interlude.
D-ball.
And this scene is also talked about in that book, the new book, Shooting Columbo. So at a basketball, they're at a gym. There's a bunch of basketball players, and Paul Hanlon is there, and Columbo shows up. And you probably know this, Paul, but those are actual LA Lakers from the early 1970s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And one of the LA Lakers in that scene is Happy Hairston, who actually went on to do a lot more acting. After his basketball career ended, he became an actor and did a lot of roles. So this might have given him a little flavor for it.
Yeah.
Other thing I want to say about this scene is that Hanlon is wearing a green blazer, and apparently, according to some websites, I forget where I saw this, this is the same green blazer that he's going to wear again that he wore in Death Lends a Hand, and he's going to wear again in Double Exposure. So I don't know if this is his own personal green blazer that he brings, his green sport coat, or if they just held on to it for him. But he's going to keep wearing it again and again.
Yeah, he's so good. He's Culp is so. It's like he's not acting.
Mm-hmm.
He's really mad. When Columbo follows him to the airport and catches him on the phone, and he looks at him through the phone, and then he comes out and he opens the door, just like he is on point, and that's obviously why Columbo, Peter Falk, and everybody pointed to him to play in this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does a good job of playing angry, for sure. I was trying to find an interview I didn't try that hard, but I tried to find an interview with Robert Culp where he talked about his work on Columbo, but I haven't been able to find one. But I'd love to hear what he had to say. I mean, he's passed away, but I'd love to hear what he has to say about it, because he did it multiple times, so he must have enjoyed it.
Yeah, I couldn't find any. I found a really good interview with him on the Television Academy, and it's a long interview, 2 or 3 hours, and they don't cover Columbo. Is it in David Koning's book where Peter Falk is quoted as saying Robert Culp was as unpleasant off screen as he was on screen?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I wondered like if that's just a joke or that's for real, and they just worked, and they're like, Culp is going to deliver. He's going to deliver the goods.
Right.
So let's bring him on. But yeah, he talked about working with Bill Cosby. He talked about writing. He's written a lot of stuff, like a lot of television episodes, like The Greatest American Hero, I Spy. He used to write stuff, in Sam Peckinpah, the famous director. He and Culp worked with each other on a television series. But Culp is a very intense performer, really good performer.
Yeah.
He talked about his dad. His dad, he had good things to say, but his dad left when he was a kid. He was a lawyer, and I think it sounded like it did bother him, but that he knew, in the end, it sounded like he knew his dad was a stand-up person in the end. Something like that.
Huh, it's a nice attitude.
Yeah, it's a good interview. If you like Culp and his work, he's basically the same. He's like in his 70s or 80s, but he's still got the same. The interviewer is on point. He's got to be on point, because Culp doesn't let anything get by.
Yeah,
it's a good interview.
Yeah, he's fun to watch, but not someone I'd want to chit chat with, but definitely someone I enjoy watching on the big screen. Not someone I want to hang out with, but that's okay. I like his work.
That's right.
All right. Well, let's quickly go back to the Wagner house during the daytime here. I just want to point out in this next scene, they're reviewing these taped conversations that Walter, the attorney, recorded. And Shirley, I just wanted to point out, looks amazing. She's wearing this like long dress. It's like iris colored. It's like a purplish, pinkish, violet. I don't know the exact term. I have a fabric right now in my studio that's called Iris. It's the exact same color as her dress. And then she's got two strands of thick or large pearls around her neck. And I would say this is, Grady Hunt really likes these solids, but I think he did a really good job with her wardrobe in this. Most of the other costumes too. I think he did a really good job with his more simpler tastes. She looks great.
What color would you say her dress is?
Well, I have this fabric called Iris, and it's the same shade as her dress.
Iris, okay.
But I don't know if that's it's like a magenta-ish purple.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
It's like purple, but it's warmer than purple. It's really pretty. So this is a key scene because we learn about the taped phone call, and one of them is time stamped for right before the murder, and we think it came from the box at the Coliseum. But there's definitely a lot of telling in this scene, right? There's a lot of like plot being spoon fed to us talk in this moment. It's not necessarily one of my it's not like one of my favorite moments, but we get some important information there.
When I saw it the first time, I didn't, or the last two times, it didn't come off that way to me. I thought it was sort of discovering him, Culp, in his conversation, and Culp is sweating it out, so we think.
Mm-hmm.
And Dean Jagger is sort of, like, see, this is what he's been doing this whole time. You can't trust this guy.
Yeah, that is a kind of important moment there. That's good. That's well played. That he has to come up with an excuse for what Eric Wagner said about the chick he put him onto.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say there are moments in these episodes that I just hope kind of like slip past my kids, or that they don't they don't ask for too many details like that conversation.
Mm-hmm. Soon, Liz. Soon.
I know.
What did you think of Dean Jagger?
He was good. Is he the guy from Annie? Does he play Daddy Warbucks?
No, that's Albert Finney.
No. Okay.
And he had he probably just had a fake bald cap on his for Daddy Warbucks. Yeah.
Just a different bald white guy.
Yeah. No, well, Dean Jagger, I didn't know who he was, but I really liked this guy. He has this sort of a certain amount of class to him. I felt sort of a very confident and very tall, and handsome, and much older than all the other characters. And he's been doing movies and television for a long time, since 1929.
Wow.
Yeah, and I watched him in a film called Dark City with Charlton Heston and Lisbeth Scott. It was produced by Franz Waxman, did the music, and the big producer was Hal B. Wallace. That is a wonderful film. That was a really good film, sort of a film noir.
What's the name again?
Called Dark City. It has Dean Jagger as Captain Garvey, Jack Webb as Augie, Ed Begley as Barney, Harry Morgan. Really good characters and development. And Lisbeth Scott, she sings this really well-known song in the film, but I video projected it and just loved watching it. It was so good.
Cool.
And I really liked watching Lisbeth and everybody. Yeah. But Dean Jagger he really is he's this, his first scene with Charlton Heston is great. He takes the scene. He's way better than, Charlton Heston was always, pretty good, but Dean Jagger is very much more truthful in his responses to Charlton Heston. He's really quick, but yeah, Dean, I wanted to see him. He was in Game of Death, Bruce Lee.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I wanted to rent it, but I didn't have time. And he was in a movie called Vanishing Point that I saw. I don't know if I saw it this year or last year or 2 years ago, but it's a very strange film with Barry Newman and Charlotte Rampling. And he plays this, they call it a prospector, but he has this scene with the main character, Dean Jagger does. And he's like, they're both in the middle of the desert. And there's like a cult, it's just a weird sort of detour in the movie with this cult with rattlesnakes, people who have these rattlesnakes in the middle of the desert.
Wow.
And they drink,
Creepy.
I don't know if they drink strychnine, or I don't think it's like that, like West Virginia. Anyway, Dean Jagger, I think he's a pretty awesome actor. I thought he was awesome.
Very cool. Yeah, well, we'll link to the Dark City in our show notes so that people can check out more of Dean Jagger's work for sure. Let's get some chili. You ready to get some chili, Paul?
Yeah. Let's follow Columbo to the chili house.
Follow Columbo to the chili house. So now, in this episode, he's getting his chili at the Oceanside East Cafe on the Santa Monica Pier in Santa Monica. And I tried to see what it is today. It's the address is now a restaurant called Marisol, but I think the original building might have been pretty much torn down or redone. It doesn't look quite the same, but it's still a really cool. Looks like a cool little spot to go have lunch or a Bloody Mary. I bet.
Yeah, for sure.
And Columbo goes. He's having chili, and he still has Walter Dobbs's. Not Walter Dobbs. Is it Walter Dobbs? Anyhow, he has Dobbs's recording equipment. The private detective.
Ralph Dobbs.
Okay. Walter's the attorney. Sorry. So he's got Ralph Dobbs recording equipment. Dobbs wants it back. But Columbo's still listening and trying to break this alibi. And I just wanted to say that Dobbs says his equipment's worth $600, which would be almost $4,000 today. So that would be a lot of money to have a cop holding on to while you're, trying to get your work done.
But he's squeezing them for info.
He gets the info, and he gets the lead on Miss Babcock, the woman who planted the bugs in the Wagner residence. All right, so we better go meet her. You ready to meet Miss Babcock? She is awesome. So now we go to her apartment. She has a really fun apartment. I think they tried to make it look not quite as luxurious as some of the other apartments, but still a nice place to live. But she's got these two bright pink wicker chairs and some red pillows and a big white fluffy pillow. So it's not the same luxury that we see in the other homes, but it's still definitely a nice place to live. And she looks great. She's wearing a long navy blue dress with a turtleneck. There's a lot of turtlenecks in this episode. And then these like see-through sleeves. They're like silk see-through sleeves along the side. And she's got a sparkly silver purse, sparkly silver bracelet, and a really beautiful wool white coat that she puts on over her dress. She just looks great. So Columbo shows up, and this is also a really funny scene that I'm really glad I haven't had to explain to the kids exactly what's going on in this moment. But she thinks that Columbo is her next date, and so she's just carrying on like they're going to go out for dinner. And he's like, "Oh, I wasn't planning on dinner." And she's like, "Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. We can just stay here. I just wish I had known that."
Yeah.
Oh, it's a really funny scene. And I love her apartment. I was thinking to myself, I'd love to like go on that set and just see how the set decorators set it up, because they put a lot of fun little details, on her shelves and on her bar and stuff. It's a cool little, I'd love to just like go through that a little more detailed.
Yeah, like the big painting behind her of that woman's face. It looks really modern, like it looks like
there's some cool art in there.
Yeah, famous actress or something.
Well, and then her actual date shows up, and then she gets busted basically by Columbo. But I did want to say that her actual date has a pretty awesome stripy sport coat on. He goes by the name Smith, and his sport coat is like, I think it's like white, and it's got all these like green and brown and yellow, different thin stripes. It's really cool. But anyhow, Columbo tries to get a little more info out of Babcock, and under pressure, she lets her accent of her country of origin, or wherever, peek through just a little bit, and then he, Columbo's so sharp, he's like, "Is your last name Ragoji by chance?" But she does a good job of not, she does not reveal anything. She just stays silent. I think she just does a great job overall. I really loved her performance.
Yeah. Yeah, she was the one who was Rhoda. Remember I mentioned one time, and you're like, what's Rhoda? So she was Rhoda in Mary Tyler Moore, and then she had her own show after that. And Mary Tyler Moore was like her first television gig. She had done dancing and a lot of theater, but yeah, she's a very interesting actress. She was very involved with like she marched with Gloria Steinem.
Oh wow!
And protested equal rights for. There was some David Merrick, the Broadway producer, was doing a play or a musical about, I can't remember the profession, but most of the people that do this profession, it was like either in a hotel or somewhere where they were always African Americans, but in this musical they were all Caucasian people. And so she was protesting, I forget the name of the group, and I think it worked. I think they hired 2 African Americans for the traveling musical show, and then she would work for like car companies promoting their new cars. Like they would dance and stuff and sing songs about the car. There's a lot of actors even now that will promote. They still promote these kinds of things, and they'll do voiceovers. They'll talk to the crowd. It's a working acting gig, and back then it was even bigger. But these car companies never didn't hire minorities. But once she helped break through that, her and another group that she was helping out, a lot of the car companies started coming to her to help cast for minorities to be
cool.
be in the shows.
Wow.
Because it had always been just white people, and all these musicals and promoting of commercials, so
good for her.
Yeah, she wrote a book called I Rhoda, and I haven't read the whole thing, but I've read at least half of it, and a very interesting
I Rhoda
career, to say the least.
And Valerie Harper is her name. Okay. Very cool.
Yeah. She traveled around, her and her brother and sister. The dad, I think, I can't remember if he separated or he was traveling when he worked. Might have been that, but he traveled a lot. So they ended up living all over the United States. They did live in Pasadena briefly when she was really young. But I enjoyed hearing her stories and the way she tells them. She's got a real love of life.
Very cool. Yeah, I'd love to read her book. All right, Paul. Well, we're getting near the end here. Columbo needs to do some thinking. He's got a lot on his mind.
Yeah.
And so he goes to the Coliseum to do his thinking. And I just want to point out, there's some really cool shots here of him alone. He's basically alone in this giant Coliseum, and he's kind of walking around and sitting and thinking. I just thought it was really beautiful. I love, the chairs there are these different colors. You'll have like a giant section of yellow and a giant section of maybe white. I forget, but they're different. And it's just cool, a very cool background. And he's walking around, and then occasionally they zoom in on him.
Yeah. And the music. And then they add sound effects of like the crowd. I forgot about this. Yeah, that again, with J. Terry Williams, who was the film editor. Jeremy Kagan was the director. Richard Belding was editorial supervisor. Sound was Edwin S. Hall. So that goes to him. And Harry Wolf, the camera again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember, there's a shot when they're at the airport when it's Culp and Columbo, and the shot is them. It's like on the escalator, and it's a really low angle, and you just see the escalator in their heads.
Oh, yeah.
And they're talking,
Mm-hmm.
and then they slowly get closer and closer and closer. But this is by far, maybe the most artistic moment of the episode. But it really heightens, how the hell is he going to solve this? What is he? He's totally missing something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. It's a cool moment. This is one of those moments that I feel like is characteristic of a Columbo that you never see these days. You never see these days, but it's just him silent, in a big empty space. And we just kind of watch him being silent in an empty space. But you get, obviously the story is happening. He's thinking, but we're basically watching him think, which is something that today's audiences don't have the same patience for. Although, there are a lot of today's audience is a Columbo fan. So obviously we do have the patience for it, but it's not something that you see, just that a character just thinking.
Yeah. There's an abbreviation for so much, whether it's looking at the photographs on Instagram or things on TikTok or just talking to my kids, their attention span of what they want to talk about or what they want to share. Or, we went camping in Ojai this weekend.
Oh, nice. That's right.
They were listening. The boys were in the tent with me, and so was Vesta, and they were playing excerpts of excerpts. And it was like they were both going back and forth laughing at something different every 5 seconds. So it was like a mixed tape from hell, but they were enjoying the laughter of each little GIF or small thing on YouTube, or I don't know what exactly they all were, but they would show it to me every so often, but it was incessant, but it was like I've done montages and editing for myself and in music, mind you. In college, I did a handful of weird cassette tapes that were dialogue and stuff just from all over.
Yeah, I have some of those. I love those.
There were some that were really crazy, even 3 seconds or 5 seconds. And there's a very well-known underground kind of band called Nurse with Wound, and I recently got a vinyl of theirs, and it reminded me of a friend of mine, and it was weird because I had been wanting to talk to this guy, and he called me because we'd been playing phone tag, and I was like, dude, I was just thinking about you because I was listening to Nurse with Wound, and I didn't really know their work. Someone else had mentioned them to me, and so and their stuff is like that as well. I think they still do stuff, and my friend said he had when he called me, he's like, hey, I had that on my record player. That's so weird you would ask me that. And he listens to everything, this guy, and he's seen them perform. And they'll have these mix, they mix other people's work, but a lot of people do that, DJs. And I remember this bookstore called Amok Books out here in Los Angeles. They're not here anymore, I don't think. And they had some really very unusual and some of it frightening, all kinds of stuff, video and books. And they had put out a video that a filmmaker friend of mine had, and he lent it to me, and it was just this crazy montage of just craziness, some of weird films, weird talk shows, weird. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent.
Okay.
But yes, the pacing and the plotting is very. The new stuff is awesome, but there's something like this that really pulls you in. And when I am trying to communicate with someone, it's good to be listened to. And I feel like that's what this it does, and even on a lot of these jobs I have now that are all remote, we have to be on WhatsApp or Discord, and people are throwing these magical gifts that they're even creating back and forth, emojis in the conversation, and it's like everybody one-upping the other only to hear themselves heard.
Oh yeah.
So it's cool and it's crazy and it's funny, and I wish sometimes for the opposite,
Yeah.
because you're not listening to a person. I mean, you are. I mean, they are. Some people are, but there tends to be sort of where it's not heard as well.
Right.
But this kind of filmmaking here, and I wish I had more time to watch more stuff, so I could see some of the newer stuff.
Yeah.
I think Ted Lasso is paced pretty well,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of scenes. What I saw. Have you seen anything new that has this kind of pacing, like this particular type of slow?
No, I'm gonna have to check out Ted Lasso because that sounds like right up my alley.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have that kind of thing that this is showing right here. With the getting into someone's
Mm-hmm.
head. There's always people talking, going from one beat to the next. I haven't seen the whole season one, so
Yeah.
I didn't see a moment like this.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just thinking, okay, this is another, I'm sorry to continue the tangent. I know we got to wrap this up, but
No, it's
I
good.
watched the movie Jason Bourne recently because I love all those Bourne movies.
Oh yeah.
And this was the latest one with Matt Damon. Anyhow, the whole entire film, I mean, I love it. I love it. I'm not complaining. But the whole entire movie there is this soundtrack of this intense music of like intense, what's gonna happen, something's happening. Like the whole entire, 90 minutes or whatever, you're just like, oh my gosh, on the edge of your seat because it's so fast paced and the music is so fast paced and like dramatic and suspenseful. So, I mean, there's definitely a time and a place for all of that. But I noticed, I was like, wow, this music, it just never stops. It's like the whole movie it's like the same high intensity. Like, wow, this is something else. I still loved it, of course. I mean, but I love the moments like this. This is like another scenes that we talked about in the past from Blueprint for Murder, where we're literally watching Columbo stand in a line, and I don't think there's any music at all.
Yeah,
It's just Columbo standing in a line. Okay, and I won't go down that. I know I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I think that's great.
I agree
to have those moments.
It's hard. It's hard when you have a lot of people and millions invested, and so you may not. They may feel like, oh, you gotta have this. You got So there's a that a certain rule too. Not rule, but there's a thinking of if you have a high, you're going at a high pace, is to keep that pace. But that it's there's so many different ways to look at it. But I do wish there was more of that in films. But we'll come back to this. I know with looking at other stuff.
For sure, it's a continual theme. But let's wrap this up here, Paul. I know there's a moment where he goes to the travel agency and there's a cuckoo clock on the wall at the travel agency, and that really like clicks for him. Like, oh, clock. There's no clock. That's like the final clue for him. That's how he can break this alibi because obviously there's a clock in the box where Hanlon was supposedly making the call, but there's no clock chimes on the recording. So Columbo goes from the travel agency back to the Coliseum and has a a final scene with Hanlon and points out this issue. It's a really great scene. At one point, Hanlon's got the binoculars pointed at the wrong end of the field because he's so distracted by Columbo. But it's a great gotcha moment where Columbo's like, it doesn't add up. I know it's you.
Yeah. And I wondered if that was improv too, when he said, they're on the 40-yard line or whatever, and he was looking at the other, the other direction. And also I like how he's like, there you go again. You're doing it again. Like his reaction of turning down the thing. And it's almost like he's mad at him. Columbo's almost mad at him too. Like, look, you're revealing yourself again. You did it again. I love that. I loved that build up. And then he's like, aha, he even does it with his hand. Like, gotcha.
Yes. It's a really good gotcha. All right, Paul. Well, should we rate this one? Give it a rating out of 10? Yeah. How many stars or points out of 10? Have you thought of yours yet?
I did. I thought of it earlier today. I'm going to go with 8.3.
Ooh, that's really high for you, Paul.
Is it? Okay, yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. I think I just
tell me how you.
Yeah, I just thought it was such a solid piece. It was just moved really quickly. There was a lot of wonderful, frustrated Culp and pursuing, Columbo, and the point where you find out the phones are tapped and the guy breaking in. I really liked that. It was a really good change for the whole story of what's going on. I thought all the actors were good. I liked the detectives in the beginning. There was a guy who was Sergeant Hernandez. He's a Native American actor.
Oh yeah, I liked him a lot.
Yeah, he was great. He even cool. Taps his nose when he's talking to Columbo. Like, you got to get in there and stop listening to the game.
Yeah.
And even the boy who was talking to Robert Culp about getting the drinks, and he's like, you need to go, you don't need to be here, you're off for the day. I tried to look up some stuff on the Ivan Naranjo, Sergeant Hernandez, but I couldn't find much stuff on him. But all the players, all the acting were really good. Dean Jagger, James Gregory. What else did I like? I like the camera work, as we talked about, with the sound effects at the end there. And I'm trying to think of the things that I think it was kind of, in some ways, there wasn't a lot to the story, sort of, or there wasn't too many things that changed. Maybe it was just him trying to figure it out. I thought the directing and editing were really good. So what was I thinking about? Why do they call it the most crucial game, you think?
Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that too, because obviously this is a sports themed episode, but there isn't a game happening, in particular between these characters. So
yeah, that's not a game changer for a rating necessarily, but I just thought that was sort of I know there's another one called, there's the famous book, The Most Dangerous Game, and there's a different movies based on that book, which is a really good sort of story about a murderer who hunts people. But yeah, I felt like there's didn't have a lot of change up, I guess, in my head, but it was very solid. It was a real solid episode. What about you?
Yeah, I think I would go a little bit higher than you. I might go like not quite a 9, maybe like an 8.7. Because I just love Robert Culp. I love Dean Stockwell's brief moments. Yeah, I like the scenery. I love the house. You know me, I'm all about sets and
Mm-hmm.
locations. So,
But they
and
used this
then
one
that
before.
that's true. But I like seeing it again. I have no problem with that. And then,
And they did use the pool this time, so that's different.
yeah, exactly. And then there's that quiet moment with Columbo at the stadium that is something I just so appreciate in today's fast-paced culture or shows like we've been talking about. So yeah, I think I go 8.7. I think it's not one of my all-time favorites. There's not a ton of glamorous parties or costumes or fun foods and drinks. But the characters are all really, really solid. And the acting is really great. So yeah, I'll go 8.7.
Yeah. Another thing, um, the the wife. Uh, I know a lot of the episodes they don't necessarily go back to characters, but it would have been interesting for her to see, to learn the truth about Robert Culp.
Yeah, totally. Like in Etude in Black, where the wife is actually there at the moment when he's busted.
Yeah, I mean they involve her much more in that episode than they do this. This character is sort of like she's gone the whole time, and then she's not the whole time, but part of the
Yeah.
time, and then she's in two scenes.
Yeah.
So it's so in Murder by the Book, you care about the wife and you care about the dead husband, and you get to see them for a
Mm-hmm.
while, and the other woman that he murders, and here
Lysenka.
you, yeah,
Yuri
you
Lysenka.
yeah, you get to meet Dean just for a brief moment, great moment, yeah, because he's so good. So maybe there's that. Maybe there's like it's sort of Columbo with people that he doesn't spend too much time with, but is maybe that a lot of the episodes
Mm-hmm.
are this way, huh?
Well, yeah, and I think that's what makes some episodes really stand out. And I don't know how I rated Etude in Black, but yeah, you're right. In that previous episode, there's so much more connection between characters. Like you understand their relationships and you see them, and it feels really real. That might be more of an exception than a rule.
Well, there's the one with the Rainbow Land. He's the newspaper guy. You kind of care about him. He's sad the whole
Mm-hmm.
episode, and you know, does Columbo open up to him at the end, or does he open up to somebody else about stealing hubcaps?
No, to him. Yeah, it's to him.
Is it to him? Okay, yeah. So there's that sort of like an anchor.
Mm-hmm.
Someone gets this guy was bad news, and he hired him,
Mm-hmm.
and he killed his wife to top it
Right.
off, and Culp even apologizes to him. So there's sort of like there is that other part. There was a show that I've mentioned before called Medium, and I really like the show. It's not always the same, and it's uneven at times, and there's some excessive, violent stuff in it that's real shocking, and it sometimes seems a little bit too much, or a lot of times rather. But there's several of the episodes where they don't that the person gets caught, but they don't show them getting caught.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't get to see the satisfaction of the police catching them. Even it's like just
Right.
mentioned,
Yeah.
but the story sometimes is just about this woman and her family, and not about the actual crime, even though it's what keeps the story going, or the solving of the crime. So it's a little different than this, because this is about solving the crime and catching the person.
Mm-hmm.
But there's never any real gloating in this,
Right.
which is great. It's like, why'd you do this, man? It's usually like
Right.
Columbo's always, we always talk about this, but so maybe that's part of my thought on that, not giving it a higher rating.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point that, a lot of these shows are about how is he going to figure this out, right? It's very much like plot driven. And then when we get those moments where the characters really come to life and it's character driven, also, it's just really exciting. But this episode, this one is not so much about those relationships between the characters, but I still think it's really high up there for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, I think I almost want to say, I think I was going to give it a lower rating, but I kind of went back and forth between the rating and stuff.
Yeah. All right, Paul, well, let's do our trivia. Do you have a trivia for me?
Yeah, I got 3 trivias for you.
Okay, let's do it.
Valerie Harper played Liz Farrell, an assistant DA in New York City based on Linda Fairstein. Linda Fairstein came into the news recently for trying to sue the women writers and directors Ava DuVernay and Attica Locke, I believe. I'm not 100% sure on everybody she's trying to sue, but she's trying to sue Netflix for defaming her. But Valerie Harper played this woman. She was in New York City working. She was the chief of sex crimes prosecutor for New York City. If you type her name. Anyway, I acted in a episode that was her. There's a series called Hardcover Mysteries, and it was called Linda Fairstein. And I was one of the characters in that. And it was like, that was her, it was her episode.
I'm going to say true. Is that true? Yes, my guess is true.
It's true.
It is? Yeah.
Yes, true.
Awesome.
It was, I played like a brother and I liked doing the scene, but like in the end, it was like, I was barely in it. But it's interesting. I didn't know so much about Linda Fairstein until today when I was reading about that. Because I'd heard about that in the news about the Netflix, her suing Netflix. But a lot more stuff has come out about her, pointing her to helping high society clients in New York, like Harvey Weinstein, giving. You'd have to read it online for me to get a better understanding of it, but it doesn't look. It's not favorable towards her.
Oh dear. Okay, number 2.
So Dean Stockwell was a child actor with Roddy McDowall, Elizabeth Taylor, MGM, and he had to deal with a lot of adult actors. And one of the main actors that he worked with was Myrna Loy, and he never didn't like working with her. He thought that she was too controlling. Myrna Loy was.
I know who Myrna Loy is.
Myrna Loy was the mom.
No, I know who Myrna Loy is, Paul. I'm going to say false to that. I got to say false.
Are you sure?
Am I right? What? Don't make me second guess.
You're right.
Yes.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's false.
Too right.
No, he said a lot of the adult actors he would work with were ego driven. A lot of them had large egos. He didn't say egos. He's much more diplomatic, and they didn't know how to behave with him unless they were doing the scene.
That's hilarious.
But Myrna Loy was really kind and really generous, and he loved that about her. He said she was she was one of the few, if the only adult actor who really made him feel that way.
Aw, that's so sweet.
And the third one.
Okay, next one.
Robert Culp took classes from John Cassavetes, but couldn't stand the bohemian, the bohemian look of the people in class, the looking oozing attitude and blatant self-importance. So he left after 2 weeks.
Yes, that is so true. That is so Robert Culp.
Liz.
What? Am I right?
What?
Am I wrong?
You gonna stick with that?
Yes, he's not. He is.
You're wrong.
What?
You're wrong.
No. Oh, dang it. Okay, what's the truth? Give me the truth.
Okay, the truth is Valerie Harper, who was in our episode,
Yes.
she took classes from John Cassavetes for a couple of weeks.
Uh-huh.
And she liked listening to him and taking notes, but she said they were like bohemian, and she just felt like she came in her pink outfit, and she felt I think a lot of the guys asked her out, and she always kind of like would say, "Oh, I live too far away," or something like that. So, yeah, I don't think she felt connected in that class. But she was a student of his for a very brief moment in time.
Poor thing. Poor Valerie.
Maybe you got 2 out of 3 again, Liz. That's
2 out of 3. That's my record, I think.
No, I think you've gotten them all right before.
Really? I remember last week I thought I did, and then you were like, Liz, you missed one, and I was like, oh yeah, shoot. Okay, well, thank you, listeners.
Well done, Liz.
Thank you, listeners, for joining us, listening this far. Thank you to Maxime Gervais for our theme song.
Thank you, Maxine. And who else should we thank? Yes, this theme song is so cool.
Yes. And thank you to our editor, John Guarenas.
Thank you, John,
for editing our episodes. If you'd like to add to our conversation, you can email us at trenchcoatcigar@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram at trenchcoatcigar. And if you have a Columbo memory or connection, send it in, and we'd love to share it in our next episode. Or if you have a trivia or a tidbit that you want to share, email us so we can share it with our other Columbo lovers like us.
Yeah, bring it on.
Bring it on. Paul, one more thing.
What?
Thanks for listening.
All right.
Woohoo!